Hello, and welcome to Page Chewing Weekly Pulls, Episode 9. For those of you who are new to the podcast, my name is Steve, and each week I go by my local comic book shop and try to find some new books to read or jump onto, and I come by to the podcast and talk about them, whether or not I'll continue reading them or not. I've taken a hiatus from comics for a few years. I'm just getting back into them, so I'm just telling you about my journey back into the format and trying to find things that I enjoy, and I hope these are helpful. I try to stay away from too many spoilers, so I'll be careful not to spoil anything for you if you haven't read the books yet. So also on the podcast, we have lots of discussions and lots more planned for books like V for Vendetta, Kill or Be Killed, Berserk. We're reading Gideon Falls now, so lots of discussions, lots of things we have going on. So thank you so much for listening and for your support. So this week, it was a little bit of a light week from the books that I had, and I think the order that I'm going to read them back to you in may be the order that I enjoyed them, but I'll get more into that here in a minute. The last book I read ended up being my pick of the week, and I don't think it's because it's the last book. I just think it's because it's the one I enjoyed the most. But let's get into it. The first book I want to talk about for this episode is actually a book that I missed last week. I didn't realize that it was out there. I had taken the previous week off because I was traveling to Houston, Texas, and I missed this one. So this is actually 2 weeks old, this comic, I believe. And that is that is You've Been Canceled at issue 3. This is by Kurt Pyers and art by Kevin Castorino. If I'm mispronouncing, I apologize. And this is published by Mad Cave Studios. Now, I really loved issue 2. I thought it was a great issue. Had a lot of fun with it. And issue 3, we do find out some new things about the Canceled program. Those of you who don't know, Canceled is a television or like a series or a streaming series that they basically, it's like Running Man for people who are canceled. So if someone's deemed as being canceled, there's people that go out and kill them, and it's entertainment for everyone else. If someone's been canceled, then they're murdered for entertainment. And sometimes you think this can never happen, and then maybe it can. So in this issue, we learn more about about canceled. We learn more about their motivations, and I do feel like things are moving along, and it's moving forward. This issue felt kind of like it felt like we're setting things up for more to come. It was still an enjoyable issue. There was a small thing in this one that kind of, I won't say bothered me, but just didn't make a whole lot of sense. We had a character, I won't say who had a really big change of heart in a really short period of time, and their whole outlook changed in like a page or two, and that seemed a little bit. I thought it might take a little bit longer for this character to change their mind, but it's a small gripe. I really liked the artwork. It took me a little bit to get it to kind of get used to it, because it's typically not the type of artwork that I enjoy. It's a little scratchy, but I've come to really like it. The action scenes especially, I really enjoy. I think all that's done really well. There's some black humor that works really well with this type of story. So overall, it felt, we do have, it was okay. I wasn't blown away with it. It was fine. I'm still going to be continuing the series. I think it's a great series. I think this is the penultimate issue. So I am looking forward to seeing how this goes. It is a bit predictable. I can say that if you've seen the Running Man, you pretty much know how this is going to go. I'm not even that familiar with Running Man, and I can tell you how things are going to work out. But there's some fun moments in it, and I'm still enjoying it, even if it is a bit predictable. The next book is Big Game issue 2. This is by Mark Miller and Pepe Larraz on art. This is published by Image Comics. Now, I'm not too familiar with Miller's worlds, with his universe. It's been a long time since I've read a lot of them. I've read a few of them, but I don't remember what happened, because it's been 10 years or so. And I think it's neat that he's bringing all of these characters back together. and having an event with them. I think that's really neat to have so many years. I think it's like 18 years or 20 years of characters and have them converge and come together and hurt each other or worse. So in that sense, I think it's really neat that he's doing this, and the humor was good. I really like the artwork, but my issue with this one is that there's some characters from a series that I want to read that are being killed off, and I'm going to wait on this series. I'm going to come back to it later because I think things are being spoiled for me that I haven't gotten to other books, and characters are dying. And I think it's really neat that he's killing his characters off. But I want to read those books first because I feel like some of these deaths are being wasted on me because I'm not invested in them the way that I should be. So I almost feel like I'm like I shouldn't be reading this yet because I need to read the other books first. So I'm going to put this one down, even though I'm enjoying it, and come back to it later because I just feel like things are being spoiled for me, and I'm really bad about spoilers. I do not like spoilers. And, that's on me. That's not a fault of the book. It's just on me because I haven't gotten to all of it yet. So while I'm enjoying it, I'll come back to it. The next book is The Penguin, issue 1. This is by Tom King and Raphael de la Torre, and this is by DC Comics. This one starts off with Penguin and Batman in a Batwing, and they're sinking in some water. They're sinking and they're about to die. And we jump back quite a while, and we start to learn how these two got into this Batwing together and what's happening. And we follow the Penguin and see his life. I'm not up to date on how we got to this point, but the Penguin is trying to live a normal life, seemingly, and it seems like people still kind of know who he is. I'm not sure. Like I said, I don't have the background on it, but I did like that this one we see how he becomes kind of blackmailed, or how he becomes an informant type of deal, where he's blackmailed into helping and doing things he doesn't want to do. So we start to learn this. It seems more grounded and more of like crime focused. And in that sense, the artwork worked really well for me. The colors in the art worked really well. It's more, like I said, it's more grounded. And I do like following villains. I think it's really neat when you can get a different perspective from a villain and kind of see what their motivations are beyond just, what the hero is trying to thwart. So in that sense, I think it was fun. It's a nice change of pace. And I think the artwork, like I said, really fits the storyline. It goes hand in hand pretty well together. More grounded, crime focused. So this one was okay. I thought it was good. I kind of wonder with these books sometimes if I'm missing. I feel like I'm missing a lot because I haven't kept up with DC Comics. I don't know how the Penguin got here, and while I don't really know how he got to this point, it was still a fun book because it does seem like its own thing. But I feel like there's things that I'm missing because I don't have all the background on it. So, but if you're familiar with DC Comics and how the Penguin got to this point, then you'll probably enjoy it a little bit more than I did if you're a fan of the Penguin and Batman. But so far, I'll keep reading this one. I think there's some potential there. The third book, fourth book. Jeez. The fourth book I want to talk about is a book that I really loved the first issue. I really loved the first issue of Tales of Syzpense. This one has stories from Les Mort 13 and Dreamweaver. It's an anthology series. So half the issue is Les Mort 13 and the other half is Dreamweaver. And this one is published. I have to double check who publishes this book because I apparently didn't write it down. But the two stories, I love how they contrast each other. And the first issue, I really loved both stories. I really loved Les Mort 13 because of the surreal, it's like a very surreal, dark, atmospheric horror. I love the artwork in it. It's beautiful. I think it's really great. And the artwork for Dreamweaver is very bright and vibrant. It's a very different tone. And I think that works really well for an anthology series like this, they're so different. I think it's really great that we can have two contrasting stories, because if they were too similar, then I think it would wouldn't work as well. It's very defined because you know when one series stops and the other one starts. And this is published by Image Comics. Sorry about that. I forgot to write it down. So, in this one, like I said, the Les Mort 13 is very surreal and haunting. I loved it. It's really good. I love the artwork. I'm still enjoying that one. Dreamweaver is still good, but it wasn't my favorite. It's going in a direction that I'm not a huge fan of, and it was a little bit of a surprise, maybe because Les Mort 13 is so dark that I should have seen this because they're going to take very different tones, and it was still fine. It just wasn't what I expected it to be, but I'm still on board to see where this goes. I think it's still a great issue or a great series, 2 issues in anyway. That I think it's something I'll continue to read, just for Les Mort 13. I love the art. It's beautiful artwork. I loved it. It's very dark and haunting, and just surreal. It's kind of right on my alley. Really loved it. It wasn't as good as issue 1, but it was still good. The next book is Ribbon Queen issue 2. This is by Garth Ennis and Jason Burrows. This is published by AWA. I mentioned this when I talked about issue 1 a few weeks ago or a month ago, that I'm a mark for Garth Ennis and or Jason Burrows. When they're together, it's just these two together. Just I'll read anything. I'll buy anything that they do together, just because I love Burrows' artwork, and Garth Ennis is Garth Ennis, probably my favorite author. This issue picks up where number 1 left off. I love the artwork. Burrows does gore like no one else does. He just has a knack for it. His art style fits with the gore. Those two work really well together. So when gore does happen, when horror happens, when action, violence, it really stands out. And I love his character work, his artwork, and it just really fits. I just love it. The story, this story started out as a murder mystery. Then it folds in with some police corruption. This whole "if your hands aren't dirty, I can't trust you" kind of thing, which I really like. I really like those kind of police stories, like the interworkings of the police department and the cops not trusting each other or going at, having revenge on each other. Or if something happens to one cop, their friends are out, they look out for each other, those teams, and they're in the same, they have the same goals, ideally, right? But they don't always work together. They don't always play well together. Issue 1 was very grounded, and then at the very end, there's a surprise and it takes a turn. Issue 2 does the same thing. You feel like we start to piece things together, and issue 2 ends on another shocking, violent, and horrific ending to the book. So, yeah, this was another good one. This was my pick of the week until I read the next book, which was my pick of the week. Now, like I said, Ribbon Queen, and I think we have an idea why this book is titled Ribbon Queen after the end of issue 2. I still like all the elements in this one, in Ribbon Queen. I think I like where it's going. I like the mix of kind of the grounded, political, the internal politics, the police department politics, the crime stuff, the whodunit stuff, piecing together this mystery of who's committing these crimes, who's committing these murders, and also the horror that they're adding in. I think it all works really well, and I'm on board for this one. Like I said, and it's not just because Burrows and Ennis are on this one. I really do enjoy it. So it's not because I'm reading it because they did it. Just I'm enjoying it. Like I said, that was my pick of the week until I read this next one. Now I had seen some reviews on Klik Klik Boom issue 3. This is by Doug Wagner and Doug Dabbs. This published by Image Comics. But I don't like starting at if I don't have to. I try to start at issue 1. So I had heard so much about Klik Klik Boom, about it being a revenge story, about it being, just very good. And so I decided to pick up the first 2 issues and read those, and then read issue 3. And I'm very, very glad that I did. I have to read it from issue 1 just because I'm weird like that. So this one is a revenge story. It's told through current events, and we piece together why our main character, who is Sprout, is out for revenge. We get some flashbacks of her and her family member that was killed, and what went into that, their interactions with each other. And Sprout either can't or doesn't speak, and she communicates through Polaroid pictures. So she takes pictures and she shows someone who she's trying to communicate with, and that's the way that she communicates, is Polaroid pictures, because pictures never lie. The revenge story is, we start to get background and start to get an understanding of why she's out for revenge and what happened. We have some really heartfelt moments here, and this is what really pushed me over the edge for this to be my pick of the week. Because of these heartfelt moments, we get these flashbacks with her and her grandfather, their interactions before, years ago, and kind of things that had happened in the past that she's drawing on now, that she's remembering. And that's really those moments that aren't very long. They still stick with you. They're not, we don't dwell on them too long. We just get quick flashbacks. And it even touches on issues like PTSD. It does. There's more to it than just a revenge story. There's other themes that they're playing with here. And another thing is, I love the artwork, the colors, the art, the layouts. I love it. It's like a feast for the eyes. I just love the artwork. There's also some very funny moments. Sprout has some moments where it's just funny, and I think her not speaking, either not being able to or not, just chooses not to. Her not speaking sounds like it might be strange to keep up with what's happening, but I like what they do with her communicating with other people and with us, and some of those moments are just really funny. So it has this mix of humor, there's some great action scenes in it too. I'm picky with action scenes, but this is another book that does them very well. And it's just fun. It's just like a fun book. There's like this great mix of all these different elements that work really well together. The artwork is fantastic. I mean, it all works. So yeah, great action, great artwork. It's just great story, heartfelt. I mean, it has everything in it, and it just does everything good. And that's why it's my pick of the week on this one. I believe it's a 5-issue run, and I'm kind of wondering, the only thing that I wonder about this one is after issue 3, I'm not sure how they can wrap it up in 2 more issues. And so, yeah, that's the only thing that I wonder, how this is going to wrap up, because I feel like this should be longer. I think there's a lot to play with here. There's a lot of things happening, a lot of things that they're setting up. So I'll be curious to see how this wraps up, because the 5 issues just doesn't seem like a lot. Doesn't seem like enough, I should say. And maybe that's just because I want more. I want more than 2 more issues, because it's just fantastic. Really good stuff. Really enjoying it. And it is my pick of the week. Like I said, that those heartfelt moments between her and her grandfather, that's really what set me over the edge to call this my pick, because it had that little bit more than Ribbon Queen did. Just a little bit more. Just those moments really added in, and it's just funny. It's just fun. It's a fun romp of a book. And I'm looking forward I'm really glad I picked up the first 2. I'm really glad I gave it a shot, because I was not disappointed at all. So yeah, those are my books for this week. It was, like I said, it was a little light. I'm a little bit bummed about Big Game, because I really like the idea behind it. And it's one of those times when I wish I would have kept up with that universe. I would have stayed up to date, because I feel like I'm missing out. And there's other events that happen, like Marvel or DC stuff. There's events, and some events are okay, but some of them, it's like, whatever. We're just going to get back to whatever we were doing before. And I don't really feel like I'm missing out a lot of the time. I don't feel like it's really that big of a deal that I don't keep up. But this one, I really feel like I'm missing out on some fun, because I feel like there's lots that this would be fun to read as it's released, because there's just lots of death. happening. And like I said, I just feel like I'm missing out on the impact of these deaths. And it's great that he's killing his characters, but I feel like I'm missing, like it's lost on me. So that was the biggest bummer of the week for me anyway. The book is still good. I think I would enjoy it I would enjoy it a lot more if I was up to date. But yeah, overall it was a good week. I think all of them are books that I'll continue to read. And yeah, pretty good stuff. But the last two are really what stood out to me. Ribbon Queen and Klik Klik Boom, both good stuff. So yeah, those are my books. And if you want to get in touch with me, the best place is on our website at pagechewing.com. We do have a WordPress front page. If you visit our forums and just register, it may take me a little bit of time to see that you've registered, just to keep the bots and stuff out. We have a great little community there. We talk books, movies, music. We have lots of different groups and reading groups, and we meet to talk movies and music and television. There's always something going on, so come by and say hello. We're a really friendly group. Lots of really genuinely great people there that I am really grateful to call my friends. So come by. We're very welcoming and open. And yeah, always wanting to add more like-minded people to our list. So come by and let me know what you think, or if you have any suggestions for me on what books I should be reading. I'd love to hear from you if I'm missing something, or something you think I would enjoy. But I hope you had a great reading week. I hope you had a great week in general. Hope you have a good week coming up. Hope everything is going well for you. And if it isn't, then just hang in there, because things always get better, even though it doesn't always seem like they will. So thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. And I hope this was helpful. We will talk to everyone next week. We do have more Berserk discussions this week. I'm catching up from the backlog we have. And also we'll be discussing Gideon Falls Volume 2 this week. And that will also be published on the podcast. So I hope everyone's having a great one. Thank you so much for listening. Really appreciate your time. And until next time, we will talk to you soon.